All right, so I wanted to do a walk around and talk a little bit about this Panigale. This is a Ducati 1199 Panigale S. So yeah, it is just an absolutely stunning machine. And I hear a lot of people talking about Ducatis and saying they're overpriced, they're unreliable, they're not worth the money. And to those people, I would say you are wrong. And today I just want to talk a little bit about this bike in particular, along with kind of the history of Ducati, give you a little bit of a background of where they came from. So it's kind of cool, the name Ducati is actually named after the father who started the company, and he had 3 sons, and they are the ones that basically took over the company once he finished. But the company started out as a radio company. So they started out making radios, technological kind of parts, and in Bologna, Italy in the early 1900s, they kind of started like an early Silicon Valley there. So very technologically advanced, and they weren't building motorcycles. So it wasn't until after World War II, when the Allies were actually bombing parts of Italy, including the Ducati factory, that they actually stopped producing technological parts and started producing bicycles. That's how it started out. Then they ended up putting a motor on one, and the rest is pretty much history. So I think it's really cool to know a little bit about the Ducati history, and then obviously they got into making race bikes for the street, that they entered into competitions, and they were winning competitions with race bikes that were made for the street. So it was really kind of like a David and Goliath story there, because they were a very small company, you know, especially if you compare them to someone like Honda, Suzuki, the other Japanese manufacturers that pump out hundreds of thousands of bikes every year, even into the millions when you're talking about Hondas. Ducati still doesn't make a lot of bikes when you compare it to what they're doing. So that's why another reason that I think they're so special is because they're pretty rare. You know, you don't see a Panigale every day driving down the street. Yeah, you know what I mean? And even in the short time that we've had this bike, everyone who sees it is just like, wow, that thing is absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, a little bit about this model. This is a Ducati Panigale S. It's 1199S. The S stands for lightweight forged wheels. So these wheels weigh like, I think like 3 to 7 pounds each, something like that. And they look absolutely gorgeous. It also has semi-active, electronically controlled suspension. So you can see the things running into the suspension right there. And it comes down to the rear suspension as well, right there. And obviously it has full Olin suspension. It has an entire electronics package. This one also comes with full LED lights, which is really nice that you get on the S model. Some carbon fiber parts with the tail, or the tire hugger, and then also around the exhaust. I'm not sure if that's standard or not. And then this one also has a full Terminioni titanium exhaust system, which sounds absolutely savage. And we'll start it up for you guys in a minute here. So the bike doesn't actually have a frame, and that's something that makes the bikes really, really unique. And that's what allows them to keep them so small. So you can see Christina, she's like 5'4", 115 pounds or something like that. And you can see even she looks pretty good on this bike because it's such a small bike. And the reason they're able to do that is because, one of the reasons is because it doesn't have a frame. The other reason is because it uses an L-twin engine. So there was a guy who works for Ducati who came up with this engine and the way that it works, and basically came up with a way for an L-twin to produce a ridiculous amount of power from that engine. Every iteration of their bikes from that day forth has used an iteration of that engine, which is really, really rare. And most super sports are 4 cylinders, or like the Triumph Speed Triples, stuff like that. But these are L-twins, which is crazy. And it makes the bike feel completely different than any other bike. So when you're riding this thing, you have torque down low, you have ridiculous amounts of power, you have power up high. It's such a blast to ride. And yeah, I just really can't say enough good things about them. One of the downfalls of this bike, it does get a little bit warm, especially in this area right here.
Very warm.
But you know, all the leader bikes do. So I mean, I don't think that's something that's really like a deal breaker. The other thing that's really cool is this Brembo monoblock brake caliper. So Ducati was one of the, they were the first company to ever put monoblock brakes on a street bike. And what that means is this brake caliper was actually forged out of a single piece of metal, which makes them stronger and more powerful, which is really cool. And trust me, you can tell the difference when you grab the brakes on this thing. And the other thing is that single-sided swing arm, which is really
beautiful.
it's just gorgeous, and it's something that you don't see on a lot of bikes. I think Ducati was one of the first ones to do that on a bike, and it kind of gives the wheel like a floating look. And it really becomes one of the coolest parts of the bike, in my opinion. Okay, so let me show you guys what the dash looks like, because I think this is something that's really cool too. Ducati has always been at the forefront of like technology when it comes to putting them in bikes. So the technology that's in this bike is insane, and the dash is just incredible. So it's a full TFT display. It has like everything you could possibly ever want on there. Gear indicator, mile per hour, your RPMs, all the different levels of traction control, engine braking, Ducati quick shifter, ABS. It's really crazy. And then the cool thing is too, is there's rider modes on this. So if you come back down, right now it's in sport mode, and it shows you all of your different settings, but then you can scroll through to wet mode, which detunes the engine, changes the traction control, changes the ABS, and then there's race mode, which changes this gives you full power on everything. It allows the rear wheel to slide. It takes off the ABS from the rear wheel. That's something you want to use on the track or when you're being crazy on the street. And then sport mode is what I normally ride it in on a day-to-day basis. And it's just really nice how they laid everything out. It's really easy to go in there and customize all the different settings if you want to do that. And they're just really special bikes, man. They're like pieces of art. Even to where they've put the rear shock like on the side of the bike. 99% of bikes have their shock going up and down right here, but because of the way they engineered these bikes, they were able to put the shock on the side, which does a bunch of different things, one of which is keep the bike really thin up here, and keeps the bike thin in general. And that's what Ducati has always wanted to do, is make the lightest, most powerful motorcycles possible, and that's what's allowed them to be so amazing on the track, because it's so easy for you to just throw this bike back and forth. This thing is 195 horsepower, and it weighs like 380, 390 pounds, which is like 20 to 30 pounds less than my Gixxer 600, which only produces 120 horsepower. So it's really something special when you ride these. You can tell that it's just like a savage beast, and man, yeah, they're really wonderful motorcycles. So let me start this puppy up.
Oh God.
And let's see what it sounds like.
That is ridiculous.
I don't know if the mic's gonna pick it up.
It will piss off your neighbors. That's what it's gonna do.
A lot of the times, the sound of the Ducati doesn't really come through on the microphones. We do have a good mic on this camera, so hopefully it picks it up. But not only does the sound come from the exhaust, but the sound comes from the engine too, and it just is. It's almost too loud. Like, I don't know. I didn't think I'd ever say that about a bike, but yeah, there you go, guys. There's a little walk around, a little bit of some history about the company Ducati and why I think that they're so special, and yeah, why other people always love them. Anywhere you go with a Ducati, people absolutely love them. They're just like, oh my God, that's a Ducati, and yeah, there is a reason for that. So. Again, oh, this bike is actually for sale, so if you're interested, check out the description below. All the information will be in there. And yeah, be sure to go over and check out all the other videos on this bad boy Panigale, from racing Corvettes, racing other motorcycles, to just standard walk-arounds and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one.